What's up y'all, Jmaculate here. In today's video, I'll be going over most of the button combinations on the Sonicware Lofi-12 XT. These combos can bring up additional menus or execute special actions, which can be handy for accelerating your workflow. And if you stick around, you might learn a few that you weren't aware of. So let's check them out. The most basic combinations are actually listed on the front panel. The text underneath these 7 buttons above the numbered step buttons indicate what they will do when the function button is held down. For example, holding the function button down and then pressing the pad button will bring up the project menu. But there are many combinations that are not displayed on the front panel, so let's go through them. The first category will be basic operations combinations. These you can trigger from almost any screen on the Lofi-12 XT. So the first one is to kill audio and stop playback of all samples. You can do this by holding clear and pressing play. So by default, when you press the play button while the pattern is playing, this will stop playback of the pattern, but samples will continue to play until they reach their conclusion. So for instance, this sample on track 1 will play for a very long time, but if I hold clear and press play, I can stop the playback. Another useful basic operation shortcut is playing a held note endlessly. So the normal behavior with notes is that when you let off the key, the note will stop playing. But if you hold OK and then press the trackpad, you can have the note play endlessly. And then you can press OK and clear to release the note. The next shortcut is playing a note as a roll. If you hold one of the 4 directional buttons down and then press the trackpad, you can get different roll timings. But if you input 2 basic directions, you can get even more timings. You can switch tracks without triggering the note on that track by holding the function button down and then pressing the trackpad. So it's a good way to access that track's parameters without activating it, especially if you're playing back a pattern. You can hold the function button down and then press the parameter buttons as well to get to things like the SND or amp page. This also works when you're in pad mode. By default, the parameter buttons at the top won't work because they're being used as keys, but if you hold the function button down and then press those buttons, you can switch between the pages of the parameters. You can clear all data for a track, such as the notes, parameters, parameter locks, or everything on the track by holding clear and then pressing the track button down. And you can return the parameter pad settings to default values for tracks as well by holding clear and then pressing one of the parameter buttons like SND or amp. And then you can also initialize the pattern and clear all the data from it by holding the clear button and then pressing the pattern button. And just like with the track clear, you have the option of clearing notes, parameters, automation, or everything. And here are some shortcuts for the SND page. You can toggle a mode that allows you to change the pitch of the sample by semitones instead of by the fine-tuning increment set by default by holding the function button down and then pressing the B knob on the SND page. You can display the sample slots by holding the function button down and then pressing the A knob. This gives you a good way to look at samples that you already have loaded and can show you how many open sample slots you have remaining. And you can also audition samples by pressing the trackpad down as you're scrolling through. If you press the B button from this menu, it will revert to the sample that you already had loaded. To use this next shortcut, you have to navigate to the slice marker page. You may be aware that you can press these track buttons down while the sample is playing to input lazy chops. But you can also input slice markers by pressing down on the A knob, as well as by pressing the OK button. These next shortcuts are for step editing and recording, which you can generally trigger from any screen on the Lofi-12 XT. You can input a note on a step by holding the trackpad down, then pressing the numbered step button. You can input tied notes or held down notes by pressing record, then holding the trackpad down, and while still holding the trackpad down, press the numbered step button you want the note to trigger on, then press the numbered step button that you want the note to release on. You can delete a step by holding the numbered step button down and then pressing clear. And you can run your finger across multiple rows while holding the clear button to delete multiple steps quickly. You can lock the values of certain parameters to a numbered step button by holding the numbered step button down, then turning the knob of the parameter you want locked. There are a lot of possibilities with parameter locking, so I recommend checking out my more detailed video on the topic if you're interested in learning more. You can edit step data, such as microtiming, note, velocity, and other parameters by holding the function button down and then pressing the numbered step button down. In this menu, you turn the B knob to adjust the parameters. And the C knob controls the microtiming percentage. From this menu, you can also delete parameter lock data that you've added by holding function and then pressing clear once you have the parameter lock data highlighted. And you can also move between the steps in the step edit data screen by pressing the left or right button to move to the previous or next step. There are a few other useful shortcuts related to step sequencing on the config page. You can increment the step length by 1 step if you push down the A knob, although this only increases the number of steps, so if you want to decrease the number of steps, you have to turn the A knob to decrease the step length, then press the button again to get to the number you're looking for. And you can duplicate a range of steps by holding the function button down and then turning the A knob. This is useful for extending patterns and creating variations because you get a copy of the pattern, and then you can add or remove notes from the first half or second half. I frequently do this when working on the rhythm section and drum patterns. And there are a few shortcuts related to copying and pasting, which you can also do from pretty much any screen on the Lofi-12 XT. To use the copy and paste function, you have to add something to the copy buffer, then paste it from the buffer into a destination. So to add track settings to a copy buffer, you hold the copy button down, then press the trackpad you want to copy. And you can tell the buffer is active because the copy button is blinking in orange. And you can paste a track from the copy buffer by holding copy and then pressing another trackpad. And you can remove the copy data from the copy buffer by holding clear and pressing copy. In addition to being able to copy tracks, you can also copy the parameter settings by holding the copy button down and then selecting the button for the parameter you want to copy, like the filter or amp settings. Then when it's in the buffer, you have to select the track that you want to paste it to, and then hold copy and press the parameter button. And the last thing you can copy and paste are steps. So to add a step to the copy buffer, you hold copy and then press the numbered step button. Then you hold copy and press the number that you want to paste it to. And then just a few final miscellaneous shortcuts. The first one you can access from the tempo screen, which you can get to by pressing down on the value knob. From here, you can change the BPM by turning the A knob, but if you hold the function button down while turning the A knob, it'll increase or decrease the tempo by increments of 0.1. And the other miscellaneous shortcut is from the pattern load screen. Normally when you have a pattern playing and you select another pattern, it queues it up to switch once the first pattern has finished playing. But if you hold function and press OK when you select the new pattern, it'll switch to the pattern immediately. So that covers most of the shortcuts. There are a few I didn't go over, mostly related to things I'm not super familiar with, like navigating the sample pool or using song mode. so definitely double check the manual if you're looking for something specific and didn't see it covered here. Well, that does it for this video. Thanks for watching. See you next time.